Well, they might be stupidly tough for their size by 40k standards, which, come to think of it, is still decent for our times as well. Again, something to look into. Not even bothering with the Gretchen, since they're in the building. Concentrate fire on the slugger boys. And as always, keep firing. Oh, Grain, don't lag behind. Or we're leaving without you. Now that the orcs are done here, I'm pretty sure they're starting to slowly make their way towards us. So we really do need to hurry. I will finish it. It shouldn't take too long. Maybe take a quick little smoke break. Oh look, the game helpfully spawns another penal legion to keep the orcs occupied. Won't be able to do much though. And after that we'll continue with the plot. Well, here we go. Now, I'm gonna go away for a couple of minutes as well. Be right back. Alrighty then. We can continue as long as everyone present will be accounted for. At least I hope so. In the meantime, let's take a look at some of the orc units that will be, of course, facing in the future. So first things first, we've got our regular orc shooter boys and slugger boys. These are the shootiest, as due to their infantry size of 45, or the squad size of 45, they can put out a lot of Daka, even though its attack strength is actually more than our infantry las guns and their ranged accuracy is worse than our infantry. Slugger boys are the choppiest in their own class, but of course they will be outclassed by heavier infantry like these knobs and, as we'll see, art boys. Gretchins are, of course, the chaff that is supposed to tie up your own units and prevent them from doing flanking maneuvers, and generally drawing fire away from more high-value targets. The knobs are, as what you'd expect, a big beefy slab of meat. They come with both shooters and choppers, and of course, the bigger they are, the higher the chance they come with the leadership trait. Note, however, that both of their weapons now come with some amount of armor piercing, so they are still a danger to your lighter vehicles, which is why I'm never gonna use Tauroxes. Then there is the shooter boys with big shooter, and these are especially dangerous because they come with a support trait. Very dangerous. Then, of course, they have the flame weapons, but not in this case. These are Kilakans just with big shooters. The buzzsaws are, of course, very dangerous with 40% armor piercing, as is befitting of a close-range weapon. There is the Wartrack with a Scorcher. Comes with a terror trait. Once again, handle at range, since their own range is 0, which is melee. And there was another one, which was somewhere around here, I think. Or, no, there it is. War Boss. This one is purely for shooting. Then, of course, come the assorted war tracks. The ones that we see here come with zap guns. Dangerous for vehicles, so keep that in mind. And let's see. There's the Grot tank. Comes with custom Mega Blaster. Pretty decent stats. Attack strength 60, 30% armor piercing, 80% accuracy, which falls off with range. Let's compare it to something like our Vanquisher cannon. 75 strength, 50% armor piercing, 100% accuracy, falls off with range. Zap gun is, of course, much more powerful, but less armor piercing. And the absolute unit that is the Skull Hammer which definitely outperforms our vanquishers in terms of attack strength. As for the rest, well, we've already discussed the Gretchen and the knobs at length, so let's take a look at tank busters. Those, of course, come with a lot of armor piercing. Rocket launchers, very good at decent attack strength, middling armor piercing, and falls off at length. Interestingly, they also come with a melee option of tank buster bombs. Less attack strength, but definitely more armor piercing. So once again, keep them away from your vehicles. As always, we will need to balance out our infantry and our tanks. Especially if once we start encountering more and more tank busters. The vehicles will always pose a varying degree of threat. I do wonder as to how it will all work out. But I'm sure we'll be able to continue going as we go. Just need to remind ourselves to not make stupid mistakes like driving that basilisk into the enemy fire, because every loss will be felt. And do you know why? Welcome back. I was just going over the units that we'll be encountering in future missions. As you can see, there were some orc boys already on their way towards us. Plus a couple of units you haven't seen yet. Like this War Track Scorcher, very dangerous in melee, and also comes with terror trait. So keep it at length. Then another variant of Killicans. Previously you've seen one with Scorcher, this one comes with big shooters. And of course buzzsaws. Very dangerous in melee. But of course not as dangerous as the Death Dreads. Now, you've seen of course the Gun Wagon with big Zappa. 80 attack strength, 20% armor piercing, so a bane for our lighter vehicles. And its variant, or rather big brother, of Gun Truck with big Zappa. 90 attack strength, 30% armor piercing. And of course, we've got a War Boss in here. This one is of the shooty variety. But I believe that's everything for now, and we can move on to the next mission.
How is your battalion faring, Commander? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make contact sooner. It's been very hectic here since the loss of Volcanus, and now Hive Tempestora has been ravaged too. High Command are in disarray. There's rumors of bribes, incompetence, even treason. Some battalions have been knowingly sacrificed in the withdrawal. This counter-offensive was ill-conceived. I just assumed others above in the chain of command knew that too. Please hold strong, Commander. Deathmire is the only hive left on Armageddon Prime, and even though you have successfully eliminated the mob massing for an attack, the rest of the Horde is on their way.
Hive Deathmire is the only hive on Armageddon Prime that still stands. Guardsmen of the Steel Legion, I task you with defending it at all costs, even with your lives. Believe me, I feel your pain. It's not easy being back here on Secundus. I'd much rather be fighting shoulder to shoulder with you, but alas, I must coordinate our defense effort and cannot delegate this important task to any other. So I must ask you to sacrifice your lives, as it would not look good for my administration if we lose the entire continent to the Greenskins. I am a fervent man, so I know the Emperor would agree with my words. Bless all in the coming fight!
Commander, I have important orders. Commissar Yarrick has been sending void ships from Hades with supplies and reinforcements. However, the Orcs dominate the sky, and many ships have been lost to enemy fire. But one craft, while shot down, remains largely intact. We have received the call for help from its pilot. Take your force, find the crash site, and enact repairs.
Well, time for that mission again. Control at least 2 crash site flags until the end of the mission. To determine if a location contains any survivors, move one of your units on top of the victory hex markers. Not all of these locations will contain survivors and generate an ownership marker, so be prepared to inspect more than one location. Last time we got lucky and the game spawned the survivors closer to our initial starting points. So there might be at least one survivor over here. So closer to the orcs. And possibly one over here, as evidenced by those ownership flags. We will of course need to see what we can do. Now, after all the repairs, we still have 447 requisition. And 1 new core slot. What I'm considering doing is spending it on infantry, which in this case is rattling snipers. Let's see what the guide tells us about it. The longest ranged infantry in the game, joined with Space Marine scouts who fill the same sniper role, and with a joint longest spotting range of 4, along with most other scout units. These are very useful units through most of the game, very effective against infantry, and can usually do a lot of damage without ever allowing the enemy in range to shoot back. Which is good, because if they ever get shot at, these guys will die very quickly, especially since they have a minimum range of 2 and can't fight back against melee attacks. There's of course the Hydra flak tank I was talking about. A couple of other units that we can afford, like the Thunderer. And one thing I might consider when I get a bit more requisition is perhaps getting a Wyvern. Purely for its support trait. But for now, let's get the snipers. Now, the Vulture is not the only air unit in the game, although it is one very useful to us right now. The other that we'll be getting are the Valkyrie gunship, which is more of an anti-infantry option, comes with a multi-laser and 2 rocket pods. And another one is Vendetta gunship, which comes with 6 las cannons, which unfortunately get only 3 shots, and 2 heavy bolters. Now, here is what we are going to do. We'll distribute our sentinels across the front. Infantry should go over on that flank. Artillery goes over here, as will our tanks and our command vehicle. I'm thinking we can add some more anti-infantry options here by virtue of the Vulture gunship. And off we go. Never forget that there are orcs over there. Of course, the knobs here will be our top priority, since the Slugger boys can't exactly charge our more squishier units. Good thing the orcs are slow to react. So far, I'd say that these ratlings are worth their weight in gold. We just need to be careful about them. Wonderful. That's what I like to see. looks like we got lucky once again. Enough survivors have been located. Prepare for extraction. On both of these points. And yes, so far that's way better performance record than our squishies this playthrough. Artillery, concentrate fire on the gun wagon. As do Vanquisher. Unlucky. Oh yeah, they sure did. You'll love to see it. Rest up, everyone. I have a feeling the orcs will be pouring on. Let's actually look at our list of killed units. Yeah. They are the only casualties so far. There's definitely some hidden movement happening. We'll just need to figure out on which front. Let's see if there are any nasty surprises. Well, just a squad of slugger boys, nothing you cannot handle. This point, however, will still need to brace for impact. We do have some gropeweed over here, but I'd rather have our units take cover in the crater. And definitely not on the road, as they will be very much exposed. More survivors found, and as I was guessing, it's over here. Also, hey there, Raig. And yeah, it's definitely less visually impressive and much more balanced, unlike a certain Sanctus Reach game. But of course, there was a point where even this game was going downhill. First with the DLC to this one, which was A. Space Marines DLC, B. Golgotha DLC, and then the Orc spin-off, which was titled unimaginatively The Orcs. That was a bit of a waste, but still a cleanup was called for. Oh, and survivors over here, which is also something to look into. Slugger boys, knobs, and gun truck with big zappa. That's that mess cleaned up with. Fix up our Leman Russ Vanquisher, and we can move out. I'm gonna be very careful with this one. Now, can this vulture not die to the slightest sneeze? So far, so good. Ogrins, load up and move out. God, the accuracy on heavy stubbers is just... as is their shooting strength. In fact, all load up on chimeras. I don't want any unnecessary losses. So do you. Well, there goes our gunship. Goes to show that the aircraft are still very, very fragile in this one. No time like the present. We do need to hurry up. And vehicles are much more quicker on roads. As long as there's something that can be dealt with. The mega armored knobs, however, are an issue. Neuter that one. Back up. Wonderful. Minimal casualties. Might as well pull back the rattling snipers a little bit. They're very fragile. Hate to see it. That's where their main axis of advance is. Let's see if we can pull out some of their troops towards our armored fist. Things are looking ugly over here. We might need to pull back. We lost a sentinel over here. That's what you missed. And we might lose even more if the Yorks are not dealt with. And there goes our second anti-tank support. You're not supposed to be here. So please, hurry up and die. You're obstructing the traffic. We're in a hurry here. Our brave infantry out there is making all sorts of ultimate sacrifices. But we cannot dilly-dally. Those pilots depend on us. That was not supposed to happen. Survivor roundup complete, extraction imminent. That's one bit of good news. I hope I did not make a mistake by shooting that grot tank. And that's our infantry done for. Victory, but at what cost? Pour one out. At least we'll save up costs, some of them, on refitting the other squads.
Deathmire has fallen. Even now the orcs are overrunning the hive. There are refugees fleeing, lines of people tens of kilometers long, and they were the lucky ones. And now, warp storms surround the planet, isolating us, cutting us off from help. We are truly lost. Commander, there is nothing more you can do on Armageddon Prime. You can use the void ship you have recovered and go to Secundus.
No!
I have been monitoring communications between this officer and yourself. She speaks of cowardice and skirts heresy. We will stay and die with honor, just as the governor ordered us to do.
Commissar Yarrick told me that he despises weak leadership. He considers men needlessly dying wasteful. I do not fight for empty glory, or on the egos of others. It is better we join our comrades in the south. Anything else would be a waste of manpower and resource.
Very well. But quoting Yarrick every time we disagree will not stop me performing a summary execution should you falter in your duties.
Yes, yes.
Citizens of Armageddon, there is no denying that these are dark times. Through the despicable guile of the Orcs, and I'm afraid to say, incompetence and cowardice in a small number of our serving forces, the Xenos have taken Armageddon Prime. But those of us still living should fear not. The equatorial jungle is dense, impenetrable. Their crude and shambolic vehicles can't get through the undergrowth. Like any hungry, stupid predator, they will now be sated and dozy from their feast. The Orcs will not cross into Armageddon Secundus. You have my word. So let the beasts gloat over their short-lived victory. 80% of our industry remains in the south, in my hands. And this industrial might produces weapons of war day and night. When we strike back, our victory will be fast and total. Now sleep easy in your beds, while I tirelessly plan to reconquer the North.
Commander, I have received word from Captain Carone. He states that the Orcs are swarming out of the jungle, and he is holding the line against them along the Minas River. He desperately needs reinforcements, but so far none have been assigned. I suggest you make for the Captain's defensive position and lend him much-needed aid.
For once I concur with the Adjunct Commander. You may not wish to throw your men away in needless battles, but this is a crucial action.
Emperor's mercy, thank you, Commander. Von Straub has finally seen sense and sent us some reinforcements. Why did it take so long?
We have not been sent by Von Straub.
I can't even credit that fat fool for this. Then the Emperor himself must have directed you here. In any event, the Orcs are preparing another attack. My forces are shattered. Without your help, we will not hold this time.
We will fight together to destroy those filthy Orcs, or die in glory.
I see the Commissariat is still recruiting vainglorious fools to do their bidding. There'll be plenty of opportunities to die, Commissar. Thousands of Orcs are flowing from the jungle. It's an invasion. Yet Von Straub says it's nothing. A few green-skinned devils lucky enough to have found their way through the jungle. But you will see. Prepare your men. Deploy in defensive positions down the line. Here they come!
As previously, our objective now is to control all 3 victory hexes on this side of the river, and then we'll pull back after about 1/2 of the mission. Let's consider our options. We do have some much needed requisition, so we are obviously not taking replacement aircraft, but we will be taking replacement infantry. I think we can take the Steel Legion Company Command in a Chimera. We will be leaving out a new Sentinel, as I think 1 is enough. 4 slots. We have some leeway, actually. Time to get back to our mortars. After all, you want to see me do it again? I think snipers can stay for their anti-infantry utility and for their scouting range. We'll be taking fresh mortars. As for the tanks, I am considering on whether to take the destroyer or something like Lehman Russ Eradicator. That one, of course, comes with a siege trait, but the destroyer is just a good anti-vehicle weapon overall. Then again, I was considering getting a wyvern. Can't have too many artillery. And while I ponder that, I'll deploy our troops. I think we can take one more infantry squad. But maybe that's Steel Legion infantry, once again, because, you know, we can't have too many infantry, especially seeing as there might be urban combat in our future. We'll just give them a Chimera. Cheap and effective. Now, I'm debating on whether we take another Salamander Command, or do we take a Devil Dog? 2 Salamanders should be more than enough to cover all of our vehicle needs. But then again, this is the mission where the Deathcopters arrive, so maybe it's time for the Hydroflak tank to shine, huh? What do you think? And yes, I've seen that you would rather convert snipers into a mortar, but that's a gunpoint. Then again, and of course the Hydra can be later converted into something else. So we'll take the Hydra for now. And place it somewhere nice and safe, where it can provide fire support. Over here. Vanquisher goes here, and the Wyvern goes here. Right, we're all set. The orcs are in sight, and we are go. Rip those auxiliary mortars, you were great. Ours are great as well. What's not great is Steel Legion infantry getting half wiped out in the initial assault. should have reinforced them. I really should have reinforced that infantry. But now, they've been promoted to the rank of poor fucking infantry, as they're all dead. At least the warbiker mobs are easy to deal with. You just love to see the Punisher mulching through everything. Can they make a kill? No, they can't. By the way, I haven't said it previously, or at least when there were people around, but the main purpose of the Gretchen mobs in this game is to be a tar pit. If you don't know the gaming terminology, tar pit is a unit that you use to tie down your enemy units in close quarter combat, usually, while your other more valuable units go for more valuable targets. At least that's the idea. Of course, our conscripts are performing admirably so far as tar pits, as do their Gretchen. course, right now I'd say that there are other better anti-infantry options in comparison to our Hydra, but so far it's doing good. And the Wyvern is doing decently, which is also a plus. We will, however, need to be on the lookout for those Kill Crushers, as they are about on par with our Leman Russes. That should be about everything. Keep firing, they cannot silence you all. Not on this turn, at least. You'll love to see it. I believe the technical term for this one is a fighting retreat. At least that's what our conscripts are doing. As for us, we're just holding the line. Now then, can the Hydra do something about that Kill Crusher? Key answer is maybe, but let's be extra cautious. And you know what, instead of a Hydra, let's send our help out. That's what I like to see. Scorched earth. You're as good as done for, but come on. Do at least a semblance of shoot back. I'm feeling brave. Might as well harass them a little more. The key, of course, is to not get too cocky. Wouldn't want to be caught with our pants down when it comes to that. There we go. Objectives held. Now fall back behind the river to form a new defensive line. One last round of salutes. Now begin to fall back in an orderly fashion. That's a good fighting retreat, if I do say so myself. However, try not to pat yourself on the back too much. After all, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Maybe those conscripts will survive against all odds. Time will tell. I should send the tank over here, because while a Hellhound is good, it may not be good enough. I sense a lot of hidden movement coming. Especially if that was any indicator. Another favorite design of mine, Grot Mega Tank. Literally a land ship. Or a land boat. Yeah, land gunboat. Of course, the proper procedure is softening it up. And then dealing with it. There's the death copters. And pour one out for those conscripts who didn't make it. Keep those barrels humming. Look at you being all fancy with a rocket launcher and wasting it on infantry. Lot of good that rocket launcher did to you. You're dead. Also, look at this. Here's the orc equivalent of our special weapon flamers infantry. Burner boys. In addition to their burners, they also get choppas. And of course, their burners, just as ours, do not come with a terror trait. So, they are about to get slaughtered, is what I'm saying. Ah, well. Those are small flamers. Unlike the heavy flamer, or rather the inferno cannon that is carried by a hellhound. This is 40k after all. There they are, there's the moment we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Place your bets. Who will shoot down those death copters better? A dedicated AA tank? Or some mortar infantryman? Come on, I want to see those predictions in the chat. Observe. Wunderbar. We got it on record this time, folks, because I have finally enabled the recording of those streams. So now, we have one for the record. Mortars shooting down death copters. Congratulations to you all. As a consolation prize for you, Hydra, you can still style on the infantry. Now, let's see if the Basilisk can repeat this feat. They sure can! And of course, to polish it off, snipers, off you go! Man, flyers in this game just get absolutely no respect. See? Now it was on return fire, through the combined might of sentinels and mortars. The skull hammer, however, is a problem. A big one. But they shall not die today. You have my word on this one. Oh, that's gonna be expensive to replace. Come on, Ogrins! Bashen the tank's head in! Ah, good enough. And he only took one casualty. No, the Vanquisher obviously does not outrange artillery. Its cannon got a range of 1 to 4, while the Basilisk has a range of 3 to 6. But I believe we are done here after one final orc assault. Nope, we're just done here. Let's look at that bottleneck. Good thing it didn't come to that death dread, otherwise my Hellhound would have been slaughtered. Absolutely. And I do find it interesting that they chose to go through the top bridge rather than the bottom one. But I'll take what I can.
Golden Throne! We have held them long enough. Commander, I have been receiving numerous reports from all across the front. Our entire line is collapsing. All the regiments retreat towards Hades and Infernus Hives. Our defenses are the only ones still holding. We must retreat now, or be surrounded. There is nothing more we can do. Fall back!
Princeps, this farce has gone on for far too long. I fear that if I do not intervene soon, this planet and its people will become the laughingstock of this sector. I have therefore drawn up a new battle plan, at the forefront of which will be the Legio Metallica and the Armageddon 1st Armored Tank Division. Between the might of your Titans and the guns of my tanks, I have every faith that we will crush these accursed greenskins once and for all. I am told by some of my more pessimistic advisors that you will be faced with a great horde of orcs. I am sure they are exaggerating, and it is only a few hundred, but humor them I must. Let me assure you, Princeps, I do not expect you to have to deal with anything more than a minor skirmish. Perhaps you should look at it as a chance to get in some target practice. I'm sure I do not need to remind you that I will expect nothing less than the total annihilation of these abhorrent creatures.
Well met, Commander. I see you've been busy slaying orc scum. You and your troops have done enough for now. Fall back towards Infernus or Hades. The Legio Metallica will take it from here.
Titans! It is truly an honor to witness the gods of war in action. We must aid them if we can, but the Princeps has created a route which we can use to make our way towards the Palidus Mountains. I know our forces are mustering there, but why send the Legio forward unsupported? Unless this is another of von Straub's ingenious plans.
Straub? Do not talk to me of that man. Overlord Hermann von Straub is the greatest waste of flesh and bone in the last 500 years. I told him, 3 of the Greenskin tribes were unaccounted for on Prime. that their leader was up to something. And what did he say? That they were being held in reserve. Have you ever heard of an orc sitting idly by when there's fighting and looting to be had? Those tribes have been slogging through the jungle all this time, and they're nearly here. Only now does von Straub act. He sends us, the Legio Metallica, to a battle we cannot win. But we'll do what we must, and we'll make sure the orcs pay dearly. I'd recommend keeping your men back, Commander. Steel Hammer tends to get hot during the heat of battle.
You have to admire the man. By the way, the full name and title of Princeps is Princeps Prime Curtis Mannheim of the Iron Skulls Titan Legion, which the game decides to call Legio Metallica in here. But anyway, we've got new unit types for requisition, and our current objective: clear a path to move the Auxiliary Titan unit over here to the Victory Hex over there. Warning, do not move any other units near the Victory Hex, or they, of course, will be annihilated. As for new unit types, what have we here? We finally have Ogryn veterans. So, you know what? I think while it's... well, the official name, quote-unquote, would be Adeptus Titanicus, if memory serves right. But I'm thinking we've seen enough of Steel Legion infantry, and now I think it's time for us to fully switch to Ogryns. That'll be foot sloggers for now. Look at those artillery men, slowly raking in the XP. As well as our Hydra, which also got a full skull of experience, and the mortars. Good showing from them. Now, what were those new unit types? Ah, of course, artillery. We can, of course, upgrade our Basilisk to be an Armageddon pattern, if for no other reason other than lore, or other fluff, but we'll just be giving them a bit more defense for 100 requisition, and that's not something we cannot spare right now. The aircraft, of course, is still only represented by the Vulture gunship, and we are not gonna be looking into that bit ever again. But now, truth be told, I'm getting a bit of a deja vu, because it is time to finish the stream, and we are ending it off at roughly the same point where we ended it before I applied the community fan patch. Funny that. So, pour one out for the fallen. Look forward to the units getting even more XP. And I believe we can at least deploy the troops and end it for today. Unless, of course, I stretch it out a little bit more as this is a fairly short mission. So yeah, let's do that. The plan should be as such. We concentrate our forces to go through these dunes into the trenches where there are orcs waiting. We break through them, reunite with Steel Hammer as it trudges along, and we stand back and watch them go to their deaths. Because there will be a lot of Gargants and Skullhammer battle fortresses, and I am not keen on encountering them once again.